Hello, I'm Lauren Green, and you're in the strategy room. Dr. Ben Carson announced his endorsement of former GOP rival Donald Trump in a press conference Friday. Take a look.
There are two different Donald Trumps. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, sits there and considers things very carefully. You can have a very good conversation with him. And that's the Donald Trump that you're going to start seeing more and more of right now.
Okay, so what does this endorsement mean for Trump, and do endorsements really matter at all in the election cycle? Joining me now with analysis are Iona College professor Jeanne Zaino and New York Republican congressional candidate Flip Pidot. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Flip, Trump, Carson, fierce rivalry. Apparently, Carson has forgiven him because that's what he's called to do as a Christian. But what do you make of this endorsement, and how can it help or hurt Trump?
Well, I think it helps in the sense that it's showing a candidate of a different stripe who appeals to different demographics getting behind him. But I think what might be the unintended side effect of this press conference, this hour-long press conference this morning, was that soundbite that you just played, the two Donald Trumps. I mean, that's been the biggest knock against him.
Disorder, maybe, that
right. And so, you know, Carson's message was, well, you have the sort of the showman behind the scenes, you have the deep thinker. But the soundbite, the two Donald Trumps from a new high-profile endorser, that just echoes all the knocks against him as, you know, the two Donald Trumps, the pro-life Donald Trump, the pro-choice Donald Trump, the pro-Hillary Donald Trump, the anti-Hillary, the pro-socialized health care, the anti.
Exactly.
And so I think, you know, we'll see. Thus far, very little seems to stick to Trump, but this seems like a double-edged sword at best.
Very interesting. You know, another former GOP candidate came out this week in favor of a current contender, Carly Fiorina, announcing her support of Ted Cruz. Does it mean more for her coming out for her once rival?
You know, I'm not certain that endorsements have as much weight as we often give them credit for. You know, it would be one thing if Carly Fiorina or Ben Carson had delegates that they could turn over to a Donald Trump or a Ted Cruz. That would really matter. You know, an endorsement, you know, maybe Carson's followers go to Trump, maybe Fiorina's do. There certainly are some. But at this stage, I'm not sure that it matters as much as we often talk about. Certainly, we've seen that media endorsements, with back in the day, particularly newspaper endorsements, used to be so important. Now I think they almost work against a candidate in some ways because it's this establishment endorsing somebody. It doesn't seem to resonate. But to Flip's point about the press conference, I think this is the second big endorsement we've seen Trump get, the first from Christie and the second from Carson, in which the person making the endorsement seems to have some issues. So we saw Chris Christie standing behind Donald Trump in that very odd way. He had the very odd interview on This Week when he had difficulty supporting Trump. And now we see Ben Carson coming out and basically saying that Donald Trump is one person behind the scenes and one person on stage. And who can you trust? And as you mentioned, potentially sounding schizophrenic. So I'm not certain this is the kind of endorsement Trump wants, and that's the problem with endorsements. It's like the outside money. You can't control it if you're the candidate, and I can't imagine that Donald Trump's team is happy with how this came out today.
Okay, so Flip, Ted Cruz also got his first Senate endorsement. That's one of the criticisms of Ted Cruz, is that nobody liked him.
Right.
Nobody worked with liked him. So it's Mike Lee has endorsed him, but a majority of the other Senate senators have endorsed Marco Rubio. So, you know, does it help or hurt Marco Rubio? Because one of the tenors of this election is that, you know, sort of anti-establishment.
Right.
He's got a lot of establishment people behind him,
Right.
Rubio.
Yeah, and I think Jeanne's point about endorsements having little impact generally is right. And so I don't think the balance of senators supporting Rubio versus Cruz is something that's really going to sway a lot of people. With Trump, as is so often the case, I think things may be a little bit different when you have someone like a Ben Carson, Chris Christie coming behind him, because so much of the anti-Trump vote is not only virulently anti-Trump, but afraid of Trump and worried that this would be a destabilizing choice. He's an unacceptable choice. To have someone that you may have supported when they were still in the race, like a Carson or a Christie, say, it's okay to support Trump, I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but maybe it moves the needle with enough of their supporters to say, okay, really, is this okay for me to support this guy that I previously thought was, you know, an unacceptable candidate? Maybe in his case, because you have such a division between the Trump supporters and the Trump detractors, that it makes more of a difference for him than the others.
And real quick, though, Jeanne, because you mentioned used to be newspaper endorsements. Kasich's got a lot of media outlets endorsing him. You know, will it be helpful for his campaign? Because he's the guy who everybody seems to like, but can't get the delegates.
Yeah, everybody seems to like. He can't get traction. We have to see what happens on the 15th in Ohio. But I'm not certain those newspaper endorsements are helping much. I mean, I think we've seen this over and over, not just at the presidential level, but even at the state level. I think they may matter more at the local level. But newspaper endorsements, which mattered so much in a bygone political era, seem not to have as much weight anymore. So I don't know that that's going to benefit Kasich as much. You know, I'm thinking, are people in Ohio or people in Florida going to be looking and saying, oh, he got this endorsement from the state newspaper, I'm going to go with him? Yeah. I don't think voters think that way anymore. No. I think they're much more independent-minded.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you so much, Jeanne, Zaino, and Pidot for being here on Strategy in the Strategy Room. And for complete coverage of the 2016 race, check out foxnews.com. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.